Good evening. We will begin with our organizational meeting for the Mentor Board of Education. We're going to start with oath of office. Mr. Wade.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter, community. It's my pleasure to swear in our newly elected or re-elected members of the Board of Education. So I'd ask that Ms. Cook join me here at the podium. And raise your right hand, repeat after me, please. I, Maggie Cook.
I, Maggie Cook.
Do hereby swear.
That
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And that I will, to the best of my ability.
And to the best of my ability.
Faithfully perform and discharge.
Faithfully perform and discharge.
The duties of my office.
The duties of my office.
As a member of the Mentor Exempted Village School District.
As a member of the Mentor Exempted Village School District.
Board of Education.
Board of Education.
Thank you. Congratulations. Ms. Jessling, if you would join me. I, Virginia Jessling,
I, Virginia Jessling,
do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform and discharge the duties
faithfully perform and discharge the duties
of my office as a member
of my office as a member
of the Mentor Exempted Village School District Board of Education.
as the Mentor Exempted Village School District Board of Education.
Congratulations. Ms. Payne? I, Annie Payne,
I, Annie Payne,
do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform and discharge the duties
faithfully perform and discharge the duties
of my office as a member
of my office as a member
of the Mentor Exempted Village School District Board of Education.
of the Mentor Exempted Village School District Board of Education.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Wade, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Briner,
Here.
Ms. Cook,
Here.
Ms. Jessling,
Present.
Ms. Payne,
Here.
Mr. Tuttle. Here.
That's all of us. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next, we'll have nomination and election of the president.
I nominate Mary Briner.
Second.
Please call the roll.
One second. Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Ms. Briner has been nominated and elected as the Board President.
And nomination and election of the vice president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Tom Tuttle.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Payne,
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle,
Of course.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle has been nominated and voted in as the Vice President for the Board of Education.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have board representative appointments. Do I have a volunteer for OSBA Legislative Liaison?
You doing it, Mary? Not this year?
Do you want to continue?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
I
continue.
appreciate it, Tom. Thank you. You've done a great job in the past. All right, we've got Tom Tuttle there. And OSBA Student Achievement Liaison.
I would be happy to volunteer for that position.
Thank you, Maggie. And last, Mentor Schools Foundation.
I would love to continue to serve as the representative for Mentor Schools Foundation.
Thank you, Ginny. All right. Moving on, we have our place and time for regular meetings for the Board of Education. I think we have a calendar for that.
Correct.
We don't need to vote on that, do we?
We do need a motion and a second to
All
do
right, do
both.
we have a motion on that?
I move that we continue to serve or meet on the second Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. for regular meetings.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Payne, thank you.
And please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling,
Yes.
Ms. Payne,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle,
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Next, we have approval of membership to the National School Board Association for the year 2022. Is there a motion on this?
I have mixed feelings about continuing our membership since our state organization is not a member. I don't know if the plan to have some sort of a national organization in the place of NSBA to represent the needs and the services that we've needed and availed ourselves of over the years. I don't know. My complaint is largely that NSBA is a weakened organization at this point and may not have the clout to do the job that represents the needs of states. So many have withdrawn in the wake of October's issues. So I would ask probably Mr. Porter if there is a compelling advantage to remaining as NSBA members, or if it would be safe to withdraw and just continue our membership in OSBA.
Well, I'm not voting on this, obviously. I can shed some light based on a conversation I had yesterday with Executive Director Rick Lewis, longtime Executive Director. There was a letter, as you know, sent by NSBA to President Biden in the fall that OSBA strongly disagreed with, and they did not have a chance to provide input. This was apparently the final straw in a series of concerns, thus prompting OSBA to disassociate with NSBA. At this point, 19 state organizations have left NSBA, with six or seven more considering. The states that have left are committed to building a national network that can benefit districts in these states. I'm not sure that there's enough value in remaining connected to NSBA for us to continue.
And just to confirm, Mr. Wade, what are our annual dues for belonging in that organization?
The annual dues are $5,335.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, I think there's reason enough not to rejoin and continue at this time, and look forward to joining the new association formed by other school districts, states.
I agree.
All right, so it's my understanding we can either continue with a motion, a second, and we can take a vote, or we can just drop the issue. Is that correct, Mr. Wade?
Yes, if no motion is moved and seconded, the motion's lost and we move on.
And if that's the case, then we don't continue
Correct.
with NSBA. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
So I'll ask again, is there a motion and a second, or is this going to drop? Hearing no motion, we'll let this drop. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have approval of membership to the Ohio School Board Association for 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Was that Ms. Jessling?
Yes.
I apologize. Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jessling?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle, or Ms. Briner, excuse me.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we have approval of membership in the Ohio School Board Association Legal Assistance Fund for 2022.
Ms. Briner, I think we are going to do the 12 through 28 as the consent agenda.
Okay. Does anyone object? All right, then we're going to do items number 12 through 28. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jessling?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Briner?
Yes.
Motion's carried 5-0.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Ms. Jessling, I think I heard you first down there. Is that correct? Or is that
Oh,
Ms.
Jenny?
Cook?
It's just,
Ms. Jessling?
It'll take you a bit to get used to the voices. And please call the roll.
Who was our second? I don't
I
think
will
we...
second
Was
that.
it Tom?
Oh, Mrs. Cook is the second.
Whatever.
All right, Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion adjourns at 6:41.
Thank you. Do we need to wait till 6:45?
We do.
Okay. Okay, we will now do our tax budget hearing. Will you please call the roll, Mr. Wade?
Ms. Briner,
Here?
Ms. Cook,
Here.
Ms. Jessling,
Present?
Ms. Payne,
Here.
Mr. Tuttle.
Present?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have reports from the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter. The tax budget is an annual regulatory requirement for us to identify and justify the need for our previously authorized tax revenue, which will then allow us to collect our voter-approved revenues for our general and permanent improvement funds for fiscal year 23. This hearing was published as required by law in the News Herald on December 29th. And the hearing is required for us to allow the board and the community to share their comments or questions they may have about the tax budget. No vote is going to be necessary at this hearing at this point, as we will approve the tax budget during our regular meeting. Additionally, the tax budget hearing is the first step for us in our budgeting process for the fiscal year. By no way does this budget demonstrate the complete analysis of our expenditures. That process will begin in the spring, around or just after the second formal process, which happens in March when we approve the official certificate for estimated resources. Again, this hearing tonight is to meet our regulatory needs, and I will accept any comments from the board or the community at this time. Not seeing any. Again, there is no vote needed at this time, so this concludes my portion of the hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Meeting adjourns at 6:47 p.m. Thank you.
Good evening. The January 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. Mr. Wade, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Briner.
Here.
Ms. Cook.
Here.
Ms. Jessling.
Present.
Ms. Payne.
Here.
Mr. Tuttle.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to the January 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Prior to this evening, each board member has received for their review and consideration the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's for their review and consideration, the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's approval via the district's paperless Board of Education agenda system, Board Docs. The public can access the agenda through the school district's website. The agenda is available through the district's website for public viewing the Sunday prior to the board meeting. Board members have the opportunity to call the superintendent and chief financial officer for information concerning agenda items and to request, if needed, additional information. This meeting is being televised on a delayed basis and will be shown on Spectrum Cable Channel 1026 in Mentor and Channel 1025 in Mentor on the Lake. This meeting is also being videotaped and will be shown on our YouTube channel, Cardinal TV, Mentor, Ohio. Please place your mobile telephones on silent mode during the meeting. Mr. Wade, in his role as CFO and Secretary of the Board Minutes, will now share some protocols regarding our board public participation policy.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. As the regulatory agent and the secretary for the board, I wanted to take a few moments to again clarify expectation for public participation at board meetings to help ensure we continue to have productive and respectful meetings. The board invites and welcomes public participation at our board meetings at 2 times during our meetings. The first opportunity to speak is typically after the approval of the minutes. This opportunity is related to board agenda items only. Participants wishing to speak on board agenda items are asked to come to either of the microphones located at the entrances. Our board policy 1.12, public participation at board meetings, requires those wishing to speak to announce their name, address, and schools where their children attend, if applicable. Each statement made by participants shall be limited to 3 minutes duration, and any questions must be addressed to the presiding officer. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Additionally, there is a second opportunity to speak on any item one wishes that is near the end of the agenda. Again, participants wishing to speak on board agenda items are asked to come to either of the microphones located at the entrances. As stated above, this opportunity to speak is also regulated by our board policy 1.12, public participation at board meetings. I will welcome you to the microphone and ask you to state your name and address, and if you have children in the district, per the policy, so it can appropriately record your information for our minutes. Once you have given this information, I will welcome you to share your comments, and your 3 minutes will begin. At the end of the 3 minutes, I will let you share your last statement, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. We will move to the next speaker at this time. I would like to remind everyone that the board meeting is a session for the board to conduct their business. The board, superintendent, and I recognize and appreciate the public session as part of that business. During the hearing of the public, we ask that all speakers exercise the appropriate decorum for the board to conduct its business. Specifically, in the case of public participation, all members of the community, included but not limited to participants, Board of Education members, and district personnel, need to be treated with respect. People should speak in an appropriate tone and refrain from using inappropriate, harassing, or threatening language. Furthermore, members of the audience should not interrupt or speak out during this portion of the meeting, as each person can and should have the opportunity to speak uninterrupted if they so choose. If you have something to say, we invite you to join us at the microphone when it is your turn. We also ask that if you have something to say, you follow these guidelines so that we are able to complete our meeting in an orderly and productive manner, as well as ensure we're able to hear any comments or concerns that are shared. Please know anyone who repeatedly fails to comply with the expectations outlined above or deters the board from being able to conduct business will be told to leave the meeting. If at the end of the public participation, the board or administration do not make a statement, please know this in no way demonstrates a lack of care for the comments shared by our community. The Board of Education wants to be thoughtful in their approach and will work with the superintendent and myself to evaluate the comments shared, and the response may be shared in a timely manner when and if appropriate. Again, the intent of our public participation is for us to hear our stakeholders so the board and administration may use the feedback to best serve our community. It is our hope that by clearly establishing protocols and expectations that we can continue to have meetings like the last few months that align with our mission and vision and strategic plan for Mentor Schools, as well as model for our students the appropriate way to engage in meaningful discourse. Approval of minutes.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of minutes for our regular board meeting from December 14th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Abstain.
Ms. Payne.
Abstain.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Thank you.
And next, we have hearing of the public on agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move on to Superintendent's report and recommendations. Mr. Porter.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I have the following recommendations listed under the consent agenda and recommend approval of items 5A1 through 5A6.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
I have discussion. Is this the time?
Sure.
You know, I just had some questions about the this is the student handbook section, and it's a lot of material, and I didn't know if it was customary to, when there's this much material to review, to still only have from Friday until Tuesday to review this much material. Is that pretty customary? Okay. I didn't know if there was something, because of the amount of material that is on this agenda, if it would be beneficial to have additional time instead, you know, when we have this much amount of material to go through. So I just wanted to make sure that that was something that was...
Yeah, this particular handbook, the handbooks are generally approved in the summer.
Okay.
We want to reapprove the middle school, high school handbooks because we've added language to our handbooks directly from our board policies. 9.14, 9.34, that speaks to our district's position on the racial, ethnic, and national origin harassment and discrimination. This language, while it's been in our board policy a long time, was not in our handbooks. And in our opinion, you know, it clearly needs to be there. So that was the major addition to the handbooks, which is why we're doing a mid-year update.
Okay, and I had a question or kind of discussion about the screening surveys, physical examinations, and instructional materials. The part where it says, you know, unless it's burdensome for the request, it says overly burdensome or otherwise incompatible with the district's records or retention practices. I didn't know if it might be helpful there to describe burdensome, because somebody might see that different in their eyes than what the district views it as. So I don't know if that's something that we can look into. Anybody?
Sure. Mr. Wade, as far as records go?
It's really kind of goes back to case law.
Okay.
Interpretation of our legal situation. If we have a thing, you know, if we have a request that we feel is burdensome, like, you know, it's going to be a lot of records, so it's going to take an abundance of time.
Okay.
Or resources, from the sense that it's going to be, you know, we have to send out to where we store our records, because, you know, we have a lot of records that we have to store per our retention policy, so we store them off-site at a location called, that's owned by Iron Mountain, is the company that we use. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if there's, it's going to take time, and, you know, if it's overly vague, you know, because it's not specific enough, you know, based on what, and that's all based on case law as well as what the auditor of the state has determined as what is burdensome as well. So
Gotcha.
it's been defined. It's not clearly always defined for us, even
Right.
myself, who's the custodian of records, so sometimes we do have to defer to our legal team.
So there is a checks and balances. If you say it, if we get a lot and we say it's burdensome, there is then the deferment to the.
Oh, yes, the beauty of
Okay.
America, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
what I may deem
I'm
as
not saying
burdensome.
you.
Yeah, no, well, as the custodian of records, a lot of times I would be the person making that. I usually check on
Okay.
behalf of the board as I speak for the board. But there are times that people will disagree, and then they will refine what they're requesting. And we just had one recently, to be honest with you, the one someone was more specific. They,
Okay.
I asked a question, and they gave back to it, and then we made sure we got them the request.
Okay, thank you for
Yep.
that.
Any other questions, comments?
I did miss who seconded that. I wasn't sure if it was Ms. Cook or Ms. Jessling.
Must have been Ms. Jesselyn.
Must have been me, yes.
Thank you.
All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, January is School Board Recognition Month. The entire Mentor Schools community thanks you for everything you do to help make the school system so successful. Tonight, students from Lake Elementary School have a presentation for you. I'd like to invite their principal, Ms. Lori Hoynes, to the podium to begin the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter, and Mr. Wade. Thank you for allowing Lake Elementary to represent the Mentor Schools as we show our appreciation for the Board of Education members. I have brought along some 5th grade house leaders to help show our appreciation. We hope you enjoy what we have prepared for you. At Lake Elementary, we use the house system, which is an initiative adopted from the well-known Ron Clark Academy to give students the opportunity to connect with others across the school. This system helps students build positive relationships, and it creates a family-like culture at our school. Every staff member and student is in one of the 4 houses: Amistad, the red house; Altruismo, the black house; Revere, the blue house; or Isabindi, the green house. Each house has its own meaning and characteristics. They are symbolized by a house color, animal, crest, chant, and hand signal. We would like to teach you a little more about each house and invite our Board of Education members into our house system. The work you do as a board member is a perfect representation of the characteristics of these houses. You exhibit confidence, passion, kindness, strength, courage, and the ability to empower others. I'd like to welcome you to our houses.
Which house will choose you, Mrs. Briner? Amistad is the house of friendship. Mrs. Briner is a kind, friendly face that represents our Board of Education and school district in a positive way. The strength you have makes you a true warrior. Mrs. Briner, you are appreciated. Which house will choose you, Mrs. Payne?
Thank you.
Isabindi is the house of courage. Mrs. Payne represents this house well. It takes courage and strength to work as a Board of Education member to help make decisions for our school district. We appreciate you, Mrs. Payne.
Which house will choose you, Mrs. Jessling? Altruismo is the house of givers. Mrs. Jessling, you are a giver too, by giving back to the community and the Mentor Schools by the hard work you do on our board. Mrs. Jessling, you are appreciated.
Which house will choose you, Mr. Tuttle?
River is the house of dreamers. Mr. Tuttle, your confidence in making decisions help to ensure excellence in Mentor schools. You are a great addition to the house of River. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
River also stands for power and passion. Mrs. Cook, your passion and vision for this district make you a great fit for this house. You are appreciated, Mrs. Cook.
From Lake Elementary and all of the schools, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Lake Elementary School. Madam President and members of the board, the current service facility for Mentor Schools was constructed in 1985. Since 1986, we have dedicated this facility to individuals whose dedication, commitment, and years of service to the students and staff have made a significant impact on our district. To date, we have honored 90 exemplary employees. This year, it is my privilege to present this award to two more recipients and their families. First, we have Mr. Scott Carlovec. Mr. Carlovec started his career with Mentor Schools as a custodian at Hopkins Elementary in 1996, and he finished his career at Memorial Middle School in 2006. He took great pride in his work, and it showed. The buildings he worked in were showcases to staff, students, and visitors who entered the buildings. He did his job with a smile. He was always willing to lend a hand when needed, and he regularly went above and beyond his duties. He loved his job, and he truly made a difference in Mentor Schools. While sadly, Mr. Carlovec is no longer with us, I would like to invite a member of the family on stage if someone is willing to accept on his behalf. Next up, Mr. Jim Kuhn. Mr. Kuhn started his career in the district in 1986 in the maintenance department as an HVAC technician. He quickly became the go-to for all the things needing service in nutrition services, as well as other departments in the district. He was often the first person called, and on most occasions was able to diagnose the problem before even entering the building. Jim was very highly regarded in the district for his knowledge and professionalism. Those who worked with Jim describe the time as both an honor and a pleasure. While Jim could not be in attendance with us tonight, he and his wife send their deep appreciation for this award to the board and to all of those that he worked with. A round of applause, please, for Mr. Jim Kuhn. Madam President and members of the board, at this time I would like to invite Mr. Crow to the podium to recognize Maura Murray, who recently earned the rank of Eagle Scout.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter and Mr. Wade. I'm excited to be here this evening to recognize Mara Murray, a senior at Mentor High School, who was promoted to the rank of Eagle Scout in the Scout program operated by the Boy Scouts of America this past December. Mara, if you can please join me on stage. Talk about a student leader, left a science Olympiad practice to be here tonight. So just, unbelievable student. The Eagle Scout Award is the Scout's highest honor. To earn the Eagle Scout rank, a Scout must meet requirements in the areas of leadership, service, and outdoor skills. What makes Mara stand out is the benefit her Eagle Scout project has on our school district. For her Eagle Scout project, she designed a sensory path for students at our CARES lab, or at our CARES school, which will benefit students for years to come. Mara also is the first girl in Lake County to attain the rank of Eagle Scout. Congratulations.
One more round of applause, please, for Mara.
All right, I want to thank again on behalf of the board, the students from Lake Elementary and Ms. Hoynes for coming in this evening and for sharing the information about your houses, and thank you again for the t-shirts. We all cherish them. Thanks again. The board's going to take a short break. Anyone that would like to exit at this time is welcome to do so. Of course, you can stay if you'd like. We'll resume in a few minutes. Thank you.
Tell her to say it again. Say it again.
Madam President and members of the board, I would like to invite Mrs. Barb Bonas to the podium for the curriculum update presentation.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter and Mr. Wade, I am honored to share the proposed high school curriculum revisions for the upcoming school year. The high school world language, music, tech ed, business, and special ed departments met over the past several months to review the curriculum and propose recommendations for changes for the Mentor High School Program of Studies. The revisions primarily focused on the strategic plan goals of expanding our high school electives and providing college and career connections. Our World Language Department is recommending adding Level 5 courses in Spanish and German following the French Department's lead. In the past, we have offered only 4 years of a language to students. That means students who chose to begin studying Level 1 languages in 8th grade completed Level 4 and took the AP exam as juniors. The result is that many students do not take a language in their senior year. By adding a Level 5 course, students can continue their studies as seniors and have the opportunity to take the AP exam in both their junior and senior years. This extra year gives them an additional year to prepare and/or improve their AP test score. Students who earn a score of 3 or above on the AP exam will earn college credit. The classroom teachers will use technology to differentiate curriculum and provide instruction to both Level 4 and Level 5 students in the same class, optimizing class seats so staffing will not be impacted. Due to the expected retirements and shifts in teaching assignments, teachers will need to attend AP professional development and time to organize differentiated resources for the courses. Upon board approval, we will begin to offer Level 5 courses in the fall of 2023. The music department is requesting approval for 3 course name changes and 1 course replacement. According to the Ohio Music Education Association guidelines, the best practice is to arrange courses by voicing. For example, soprano, alto, which is at the higher range, tenor, and bass voices, or the lower range, or mixed voices. Renaming our courses allows students to enroll in courses that best fit their individual pitches. The focus should be on voice type, not sex. We are recommending men's chorus to be changed to cantare chorus, women's chorus to be changed to bella voce chorus, and concert women's choir be changed to concert treble chorus. These course names changes will also provide a welcoming environment for all students. The committee also recommends replacing the current music theory course with AP music theory. This advanced placement course developed by the College Board focuses on the big ideas of pitch, rhythm, form, and musical design. It will provide students with advanced music studies and the opportunity to earn college credit and a weighted grade. Upon approval, Mentor High would now be offering 26 advanced placement courses. The business department is recommending the update of a current course called Microsoft Credentialing. This year-long course initially focused, year-long course initially focused on students earning 4 industry-recognized Microsoft credentials in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. The committee recommends changing the name to Business Essentials and adding 2 additional Rise Up credentials to the course. This would increase the opportunities for students to earn up to 6 industry-recognized credentials by successfully completing each of the 6 assessments. Students who earn 4 or more 3-point credentials will earn their Ohio Industry Credential Seal, an alternative graduation pathway for struggling students. In addition to fulfilling graduation requirements, other benefits of earning industry certifications include the application of real-world industry skills, increased opportunities for employment, and higher earning potential. The High School Tech Ed Committee is recommending 2 semester course additions, Woodworking 3 and 3D Design Technology 2. Woodworking Technology 3 will provide students who have excelled in Woodworking 1 and 2 the opportunity to further refine their skills as they consider a possible career in construction and/or carpentry. The woodworking courses are excellent entry-level pathways for students interested in continuing their construction education by enrolling in our CTE Construction Management Program. Woodworking 3 will provide instruction in advanced materials, techniques, finishes, and setups. Students will select, plan, and construct projects. The next industrial revolution is all about personal fabrication. 3D printing is poised to unlock the potential in every student to create, innovate, and fabricate. 3D Design Technology 2 will provide students the opportunity to increase the skills they learned in our 3D design course. Similar to many of our art electives, teachers will differentiate instruction to combine level 1 and 2 students to maximize classroom seats. The Special Education Department, in coordination with Dr. Glavin, is proposing to rebrand the Cardinal Lab program by changing the name to Cardinal Works. Our current Cardinal Lab program is a job training program for special education students that have graduated. We are proposing to expand the program by offering a 2-year job training program within the school setting for students who have not yet graduated. This 2-year program will provide support and assistance to students who require intensive support to transition from school to the work environment. The goal is to help students obtain and maintain competitive or supported employment. This will be achieved by providing individualized and community-based training, collaborating with business partners, and developing a support network. The job training coordinating program's philosophy is based on the knowledge that people with significant disabilities are employable. The job training coordinator will match a student's abilities and interests with the needs of an employer and provide the necessary support so the student can be successful in the work environment. Cardinal Works students will also have the opportunity to earn OSHA and ServSafe industry recognized credentials. Students that graduated and are in need of additional support would then transition to the current Cardinal Lab program. At this time, I would like to share a short video clip of the current job training coordinating program.
Cardinal Works is our new job training coordination program at Mentor Schools. It helps provide on-the-job training for students that require individualized supports to help them obtain competitive employment. During their time in Cardinal Works, they will focus on the 3 pillars, which is employment skills, daily living, and also interpersonal communication skills. And they will utilize those skills as they move on to their employers.
So we have a variety of skills that are taught within the school building and then out in the community. So in the school building, they're practicing daily living skills here in the Daily Living Skills Lab. And then we have various jobs around the building, such as the Spirit Store, the Cardinal Closet, where they can practice retail skills. And then in the community, we have different pathways that the students can follow. They can practice skills in hospitality, retail, janitorial, and healthcare.
My job sites are Unique Like Me, Meals on Wheels, Tri-Point, and Grace Church.
Ultimate goal for the program is to give the kids enough background and knowledge in order for them to become successful in job placement when they leave here.
It prepares me for a full-time job out in the community. I would like to work at Dick's Sporting Goods.
And then you'll actually attach the tag.
Previously, Cardinal Lab provided these services for our adult education students, so students after they left Mentor High School. With Cardinal Works, we're expanding to now offer that to our 11th and 12th grade students. And what that allows us to do is by focusing on this at an earlier level, we're able to build those skills of daily living, employability, interpersonal skills, to where many of our students, once they graduate from Mentor High School, will be able to enter the workforce and find employment. But if they also need additional support, they can continue on in Cardinal Works in our adult education program and have a specific career focus.
The growth that they have from them coming in their first year all the way through their third or fourth year when they're here is amazing with some of the students, to see how far they come and their independence, and to watch them grow. That's the best part.
My favorite part is I like cleaning, tagging clothes in the back, and going out on job sites.
My favorite part is to see the students every day, their smiling faces and their excitement to go on the job sites, and just the fact that they're learning how to be independent in the future and they feel empowered. I love to see that on their faces.
I'd like to thank Dr. Glavin for that video. In conclusion, the benefits of the proposed curriculum changes include expansion of elective opportunities, including AP courses, increased graduation opportunities, increased opportunities to earn college credit, an expansion of real-world learning experiences, and increased opportunities to earn industry-recognized certifications. I would like to add that the new courses will be staffed using our current staff. New courses are either being combined with existing courses using differentiated instructional strategies, or are replacing a retired class. Ensuring our students are prepared for college or careers is our priority, and we strive to achieve this by providing the most relevant curriculum and experiences possible. Thank you. At this time, I welcome any comments or questions.
I think this is such an exciting roster of changes and expansions. I was especially excited about the Cardinal Works program that Dr. Glavin was describing. The Cardinal Closet and the Spirit Store have been such a wonderful addition to our school community, and it's exciting to see students have those opportunities in a meaningful way that will give them that springboard to a future that has an element perhaps of independence and the dignity of work, and how satisfying that is for all of us when we find our niche. So thank you very much. And also the tech ed, the advanced woodworking, which is very exciting. Does that have a credentialing opportunity? I didn't know if
it doesn't at this time, but we are looking into that. I think it might take another level to get there, but we're looking at those credentials right now.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much.
I was also excited to hear about the additional industry credentials that you have in the business program, and creating those new pathways for graduation. I think that that's just a great move forward.
Thank you very much.
I have something to say. Mrs. Bonas, each and every year that I've been on the board, I am amazed at the increase in the programs that are available to our students, those that are in need, and each year it seems to get better and better. And this year I have to give you a super compliment on working with that program with Dr. Glavin. That is tremendous. If there's a way in which, today we have 50 to 75 people in the audience, including us, if that message could be told every year to broadcast to all of our parents, of our students, from all levels of education, so that our parents and family members, our taxpayers, would recognize the good that we do, not me, you, the schools, do for our community. Because for every one of the complaints and the issues that people talk about that we do and it spreads around like wildfire, this could put out all those fires if people knew exactly what we do each and every year for all the children, not just the kids in PA and AP and going to college, but the kids that need to go out and contribute and be someone after they get out of school and while they're in school. Our community needs to know more what we do for them. I'm excited by it. I mean, I see this, and I've talked to some of those students that you had on that video. They are great kids. They're great kids, and they show up with their parents, and people don't know that. Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you. I would like to also commend Mrs. Bowser and Mr. Glavin for all of their work.
Are they here?
Because they really work. Mrs. Bowser is here. I'm not sure if Mr. Glavin is. She's back there.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bonas, I have just a question. I've been getting some feedback, and I want to just kind of address what prompted the music, the name change this year versus, in the years past. Has this become more of a current issue, or is this something that we're doing, proactively? Like, if you could just kind of speak to that, that would be really helpful, I think, for some people.
Sure, that's a great question. The music committee and the choir and department chairs really wanted to follow Ohio Music Education Association's recommendation about how choirs were kind of organized. And really, they should be organized by pitch. And so that's why that is the only course in our program of studies that was women's or men's, and that's why we made that change. Okay. So it really should be focused on pitch.
So currently, if this, before this policy or this course change, if you are, a woman and you have a tenor voice, you wouldn't be able to be in that opposite choir because you're a woman. Is that correct?
We have not had women in the men's choir before. Okay. Yes. So that wasn't a practice that we did before, but yes, we haven't had that happen before.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Just to add on to that, I kind of did some research on this as well and reached out to a couple of our teachers in the district, and from what I found, there are other districts in Northeast Ohio that have adopted similar practices, and also some universities, from what I understand, that are going in this direction. So we're not the first.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. And I just want to add thank you to you, your department, and your committees for your hard work in these areas. And just to tag on to what Tom said, you do an outstanding job. You amaze us every time. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And really, thank you to all the teachers that did all the hard work on those committees. So, thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Could we have discussion on?
Oh, sure.
Sorry. I've been getting a lot of feedback from, several people, and I do struggle with this a little bit, only with particularly talking about the name change for the choruses, because I do think that a lot of the concerns that I'm hearing are, if we change it for this, will that then set precedent going forward for anything that may have the gender association with it? So I want to talk through, kind of discuss it if that's okay, to talk through it, because it is something that's been brought up to me several times, and it's a tough one. I'm not 100% with the vote here. Would that set precedent? Does this then, would it cause other things? I know people are concerned about sports, bathrooms, things like that. Would this set the precedent for those as well, or is this just solely a course change issue?
I believe, if I understood correctly, these are the only courses in our course of studies that have the gender association with it. Sports, I think, is a whole different category, and OHSAA sort of is the guiding entity for that.
Okay.
So we would certainly follow, certainly will follow the law and follow UHSAA as members.
Okay.
So I don't see those necessarily intersecting,
Yeah.
Intentionally or through our means.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Did we get a motion in a second?
We did, Madam President.
Okay. And please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Because of the reasons that, and the reasons that I just said, and the people who have been reaching out to me, I am going to vote no for the name changes for the choirs, but yes on all the other items, if that's a possibility.
Yes, you can.
Thank you so much.
Just note that real quick.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. I am also recommending approval of the adoption of an AP Music Theory textbook. For AP classes, we are required to have a textbook still.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
And Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, I have the following Board of Education policy on the agenda for a first reading. Since this is a first reading, no vote is necessary. Madam President and members of the board, I have the following Board of Education policy on the agenda for a second reading, and I'm recommending approval of policy 7.30.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam President, members of the board, I am recommending approval of agenda item C1 related to certified personnel and C2 and C3 both related to human resource matters.
So moved.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. This concludes my portion of tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Board of Education report and recommendations. Business. Who has this one?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter. I would ask that the board consider and approve the agreement for the provide services for the Shared Resource Center, as well as the resolution authorize the sale of the board property located at 8461 Markwood Drive for private sale, which is the Career Tech Education Rehab House. If I could get a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Motion's carried 5-0.
And congratulations again to the construction management group, Mr. Capel and his assistant, and all the students who worked on that house. It's beautiful, and it's a real jewel to return to the community in its beautifully restored fashion.
Somebody got a beautiful home. Can't wait to see the next one.
Yes. I agree. I was looking at it online and I was like, that is amazing. Yeah. These kids do amazing things.
All right, legislative report, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you, Mrs. Briner. Board of Revision Bill waiting concurrent vote. I've reported on this before, and I'm going to read it one more time. House Bill 126, which significantly revises the Board of Revision process passed by the Ohio Senate on December 15th with a vote of 24-7. The bill would only allow property owners to file an initial complaint, and would require a school district before filing a counter-complaint to adopt a resolution that includes evidence of another value. That means it has to come as a resolution to the school board to pass that resolution. The bill also would prohibit a property owner and a school district from entering into a private pay agreement and would prohibit a school district from appealing the decision of a board of revision. The provisions of the bill would go into effect for complaints filed for tax year 2022. The Ohio House will need to concur on the changes that the House Senate made during the committee process. The House's first scheduled session is January 19th. It is vital that school districts contact their legislators, and residents are welcome to do that as well, in the Ohio House and explain the impact of House Bill 126. The key points to make your legislators include: boards of education are composed of locally elected officials who deserve the right to protect the interests of the communities they serve and to ensure all taxpayers are treated fairly. Number two, your district has used the Board of Revisions process in good faith. An example is all school districts rely on property taxes for the operation and support of their students in schools. And they should have the ability to advocate for accurate values on which those revenues are based. Recently introduced legislation, I'm skipping ahead, those other bullets, he's already signed those bills. There's no changes pending. Recently introduced legislation, House Bill 529, introduced by Reps. Brett Husson-Hillier of Yorksville and Bill Romer, Republican Richfield, to require public and non-public schools to post on a publicly accessible website course curricula, including a course syllabus that includes a list of all instructional materials, activities and textbooks, a written summary, and state academic standards, to require public colleges to post on a publicly accessible website course curricula for each course a secondary student who participates in the College Credit Plus program is enrolled. That's a lot of words, and that's really to protect the parents' minor school child enrolling in these classes in, let's say, Lakeland College, potentially. You should be able to see that curriculum, because we won't. You can see that. You should be able to. We need a law that will protect the students. Most importantly, the parents need to be acknowledged. They are responsible for it. Thank you. Any comments are welcome, board members?
In regard to the College Credit Plus program, the intent of that program is to treat the students who haven't graduated from high school yet as young adults. I mean, there's a complex process behind that. I'm not sure that that's a reasonable expectation if your son or daughter is enrolled in a program, because there is a summary, of course, in any college catalog where a student might enroll, but to have this detailed expectation for the purpose of having parents review that material really contradicts the spirit of College Credit Plus, previously known as post-secondary enrollment option. And as I recall, that was made real clear when those presentations are done at high schools to share what the expectations are. I mean, for example, a parent doesn't get their son or daughter's transcript. That's just not included in, once they've adopted that position that they're going to go for college credit, they're treated like college students. So unless I'm mistaken, I don't think, Mr. Porter, that's changed.
No, that hasn't changed. This, I think, stems out of the situation in Hudson.
That's right.
So, our board policy says if parents want to review instructional materials, they can do so. They would need to make an appointment. The standards themselves are public, and those are on hand. We also have curriculum maps with suggested teacher resources. But we also use a variety of resources once we start getting deep into the courses. So there are certainly some things available. This would take it to another level, but I think this one stems out of the Hudson High School situation this past fall.
And was that class taught at Hudson High School, I believe?
It was a college level class. My understanding was it was a college level class taught at Hudson High School.
And I think you could probably have a different expectation where the class is actually taught in the student's home school building versus on the college campus. I mean, certainly colleges who participate in College Credit Plus would have their own opinions and how much that material is readily available beyond the syllabus.
Right.
So, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Tuttle. All right, Chief Financial Officer's report and recommendations, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, Mr. Porter, just want to give a brief update on our financials for the month of December as we closed out the month and head into January. As we have in the past few months kind of showed the overview of the net impact of our trend right now. We're expecting to project about $105,000 over our revenue that we were projecting on our 5-year forecast. Our expenses are tracking about $68,000 more than we expected in the 5-year forecast, so the net difference is favorable to the cash balance of about $37,000. So we're tracking pretty close overall, I guess is what I would say, to the board and to the community against our 5-year forecast. On a $116 million budget, a $37,000 variance is relatively small. We will continue to track that, looking at it more specifically with regards to our revenue. Our revenue for the month is down in comparison to last year for the month of December by about $229,000. The majority of that is a result of the fact that last year we had received a $500,000 advance repayment from food service that we then, the board approved from recommendation of Mr. Wilson through a transfer out for a subsidy that was made to the food service department because of COVID-related funding issues, as we didn't have students in session, so to kind of cover that loss there. Also with that, we did see a grant from Mr. Lynch and Mr. Woodworth had applied for a E-rate finance grant that we had spoke about in June and again and touched on a few different times throughout my tenure here in August, since August, excuse me, where we received that grant this year for in December for $286,000. So that was a favorable increase that we didn't see previously. Overall, our total revenue is down to the same point in the calendar year as comparison to last year by $1 million. Primarily, that is a result of our investments being down drastically by about $1.3 million. Interest rates are extremely low. We had the correction that we had to make last month as a result of kind of the way we were accounting some of our interest earnings. So that has put us down by $1.3 million difference from the same time last year with regards to our investment income. And we have received about $800,000 less in our unrestricted grant aid. If you remember, as I'm sure you all do, from my presentation at the 5-year forecast when we were explaining school funding, some of our unrestricted aid is down because of the way that we are not being funded differently, So, but at the same time, I spoke to how our purchase services will also be down, our 400 accounts, because we're not paying out tuition as we did in the past. So we actually see that when we look at our expenses as well. So it's kind of a wash, so to speak. But as we continue to familiarize ourselves with the new funding model, I will continue to bring that up. So overall, we were, again, favorable by $105,000 of increased revenue. When we look at our expenses, the top part of this chart shows our expenses this year in comparison to last year. Our expenses this year in the month of December are up about $318,000. The majority of that, again, is that result of the transfer out that we had previously in comparison, as well as the fact that we have other certified salary subcosts that are up this year in comparison to what we have had previously. If you remember last year in December, we weren't in session, so we had no sub-costs. This year we were in session, so there were sub-costs for the month of December. So that kind of equates to that, some of that cost that we see there. When you compare at the bottom part of this graph here to the year as we go through from July to December, which is about half of our fiscal year, we are at about a $2.5 million higher expenses than we were last year. Again, we had to make the transfer to our budget reserve. That was the correction that we did not make during fiscal year 21 as we transitioned from Mr. Wilson's retirement to our interim treasurer. So we made that correction to move that money that we needed to make there. And as well as we did see another thing I'd like to point out to the board is our money for tuition, as I've said, was supposed to be down, and it is down about $900,000. So that expense is down. And we've seen other expenses go up, as you would expect. Salaries and benefits has gone up, so that it contributes on top of that transfer that we had that we did not have last year. So when you compare our 5-year forecast to where we're trending in our projections and our actuals, we're looking at our current year-to-date expenditures indicate a $37,000 difference or unfavorable spend. So we're about tracking where we're at. That $37,000 is minor, and again, it's projecting out what we expect to be spending against the 5-year forecast from January through June. So it's not an accurate number, it's a projection looking at what we've actually spent versus what we're projecting based on our appropriations versus our 5-year forecast. So again, I think what that shows is we're trending pretty closely to our 5-year forecast that we had approved in November versus our actual spending and what we've projected out. Happy to answer any questions on our financials for the month of December. Thank you for that. Not seeing any questions, I would ask that we approve items B through H.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Jessling?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Briner?
Yes.
Motion's carry 5-0.
Okay. Moving on. Any unfinished business? Do we have any new business? Seeing none, we have hearing of the public on any item.
Linda O'Brien, 5842 Tanager Court, Mentor.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
I'd like to talk to you tonight about how we handle reading. Specifically, the examples I'm going to be giving relate to 5th grade. I'm curious as to what skills are built within the child when a teacher reads the book to 5th graders like you would read to a toddler. I'm also curious as to what skills the child gains by watching a video and listening for a book report instead of reading the book report. As I've said in the past, the core priorities of an educational system is reading, writing, and arithmetic. And in these examples, I don't see the benefit. As a matter of fact, I think it is dumbing down our students, and we should let them read the books themselves. Now, recently, they've talked about the Great Depression. However, the focus was on a black family. Let me tell you that my mother and my grandparents lived through the Great Depression. as did many others, and that Great Depression did not only impact the black community, it impacted all colors. There was also a book that was used recently called Richard Wright in the Library Card, talking about how a black person was not entitled to a library card. I'm certain that was the case at some point in time historically. That is not the case today. And to use that as an example to discuss an ideology of white supremacy, I believe is totally wrong. So I would question why that is brought up today, not as a celebration of progress, but as a criticism of current times. Let me remind you, as we all know, Martin Luther King Day is approaching. It was Martin Luther King who said it was not the color of skin, but the character that mattered. Character comes from the heart, and the heart can be built on great values. You saw that today in the Lake Elementary presentation. I know for a fact from my career that that approach works successfully to build teams, build respect, and create kindness. I encourage you to do more of things like that. More uniting, less dividing. Get these children to appreciate, respect, and be kind to each other through ways that are positive and not focusing on the negatives of the past, certainly not making it a racial issue of any sort. Thank you for your kindness. I appreciate your work and all that you do on the positive side of our approach to our children.
Thank you.
Patrick Autry. I live in Parma Heights. I have no family affiliated with the school district here. Is that sufficient?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so I was invited here by some of the members of the community. I'm a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in the Republican primary on May 3 for the 14th district right here. I was invited by some community members who are concerned about not just things that are happening here in this school district, but that are happening all over the country. And you know, I came here expecting the worst, frankly, but hoping for the best because I'm an optimist. And I want to be fair. What I saw tonight about improving special education and you know, trades, particularly woodworking, that's great. And I'd like to thank you for that. What I really hoped to hear more of was things like increasing proficiency in math and English language and English literature and at higher grades, physics and chemistry and computer science, and of course history in a way that promotes national pride as opposed to national shame. And I think that was just alluded to. Because the skills I just mentioned, those are obviously going to be what we need for the 21st century as a country if we're going to continue to be the greatest economy in the world. Because I worry about countries like China, for example, where the typical student there, they want to grow up to be an astronaut. And the typical student here in America wants to grow up to be, and this is no offense to any students because it's not their fault, but they want to be a YouTube star or a TikTok influencer. And those are, for most people, objectively stupid. And that's not the student's fault. And I want to make that very clear. In large part, and I do respect you guys, but in large part I do think it's because school boards have chosen not to instill rigor and toughness in our classrooms, and instead they've chosen to oftentimes divert valuable resources to coddle our students and promote false, damaging social theories about things like race and gender, etc. I guess the point of my message is I think we as a country, all the school districts in the country working together, we can win the 21st century with our students, but that's only if the school boards join the fight. And so I encourage the Mentor School Board to do just that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia.
I live in Menor, and my daughter's first grader.
Can I get your last name, please, for the record?
Marsick.
Marsick? Thank you.
I have a question, hopefully you can answer, in regards to the special education course that you wanted to add. They stated what they wanted to do for helping them with life skills and employment for graduation, to further that out. When do they start those classes with them?
They start the classes when they're still just prior to graduation. The career, some of the career-based things. Students with special needs have the ability to stay in school until age 22 by law, and so the program is going to further enhance their job skills, their preparation in terms of living skills, employability, particularly in those years between 18 and 22. But it starts before that, if that's...
Right, so from, my daughter's obviously in first grade, so it's, but I am aware of previous years, they didn't start those till high school. So my question is why are they not expanding the program to also start that earlier for them with life skills, like middle school? And then why are they, if it is officially being set as life skills and to teach them work skills, why are they only focusing on those specific work skills? Because anyone who's capable of cleaning, custodial, and customer service, special needs or not, can also have other abilities. And I think it's limiting them, and I think it should be relooked at.
Okay.
That's all I had to say.
If I may, what if we could, after the meeting, put you in touch with someone from the department, here in the district? We'd want to have further discussion with you about that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Darren Bistak, 6348 Cumberland Drive. My wife and I have 2 children at the high school. We also have a high school graduate, Menor High School graduate. She is now at Marshall University. Annie Payne, thank you very much. The fact that Annie is the only one that questioned the changes of the names of the choirs is laughable. The rest of you, I don't know what's wrong with you, but it's a shame. Mr. Porter, I tell people all the time, Menor's great, except the schools, and you're the reason. Mr. Wade, I have a question. How much money did the schools save, did the district save last year when the schools were closed on Wednesdays all the time? Tell me.
Other than transportation costs and maybe some cost on running the buildings with electricity, I don't have that number exactly, but those would be probably the major areas.
The fact that that's never brought up, that the schools were not in session on Wednesdays last year, and that did save the district money. We know there's a number there. But the fact that you guys won't bring that up, that's also laughable. I am sick and tired of what I see with this school board. Annie Payne, thank you very much. Mr. Toe, thank you. Ms. Jeschling, Ms. Jeschling, do I have that right? Did I pronounce it right? Next to Mr. Porter, did I pronounce it right? Yes, no, maybe. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes.
So the fact that you would question a parent wanting to know information about a college program or a college class, that's laughable. The reason why parents question it is because they're waking up. They realize what these universities are trying to do to our children. And yeah, Hudson has something to do with it. But the fact that you would question a parent wanting to know, that's a problem. And the fact that you represent the school board with that opinion, that's outright embarrassing. Mr. Porter, seriously, I tell people all the time, I like Menor, Menor's fine except for the schools, and that's your fault.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Last call for speakers. We're here at your pleasure. All right. We are going to have a motion to move into executive session to discuss employee negotiations and Chief Financial Officer's employment review. We don't anticipate a vote. You can stay if you'd like, or you may leave. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jessling.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Briner.
Yes.
Adjourn to executive session at 8:15 p.m., please.